Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 287 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. What's going on out there? Super cool to be hanging with you while you drive or work out or put your makeup on, whatever you're doing. Thank you for continuing to listen and also to share. And if you haven't already, consider going over and giving me a 5-star rating if you're loving the episodes. It makes a big difference. And I love reading them, but I also appreciate it very much. Okay, so no one really wants to be in a bad mood. I mean, I know when you're feeling justified to be mad or sad or anxious or grumpy or whatever. You sometimes think you want to stay there, but it's more fun to feel positive emotions. Is that something that we all can agree on? I hope so, right? When I'm feeling good and healthy and fit and happy, I kind of want to keep feeling that way. When I'm feeling sad or grumpy or anxious, I don't want to live in those emotions, but sometimes because we're human, we will do things subconsciously and consciously that encourage those feelings to stay around. Let's just say it that way. We do this by feeding them. And these feelings, they want to be fed. Have you ever noticed that? Feelings want to be fed. And what we feed tends to linger. We used to have neighbors in our cove that had a cat named Fred. Now, Fred was the coolest cat ever. One day, Fred sashayed, and I say sashayed because that's how he walked, like he owned the cove, which he kind of did while he lived here. So he sashays up to my doorstep one day, and me being the animal lover that I am, I gave him some treats. Now, it wasn't long before he was coming up pretty much every day. He'd actually come in and hang out with me. Now, I'm sure he loved me, but it was mainly because I was feeding him. The same goes for our feelings. They're going to hang around as long as you feed them. And just like Fred, they want to be fed. Think about it. When you feel really good and healthy, it makes you want to do more that makes you feel good and healthy. Or if you're in a fun, frisky mood, you kind of want to do something fun and frisky. But what about when you're grumpy? You kind of push away anything that's good and happy. What about anxious? When you feel anxious, your brain is constantly throwing more things at you of reasons why you should be even more anxious. And it's perfectly normal to have a different range of feelings and moods. This is not me telling us we should always feel good and happy because that's not realistic. We're human. But sometimes we think we aren't supposed to ever be in a bad mood, but that is part of the human experience. Nobody feels amazing 100% of the time, so let's just take that off the table. But it's what you do with these moods that really makes a difference in your life. I used to think something was wrong with me if I woke up feeling grumpy or anxious or down. And I'd worry, it's going to be permanent? Am I going to always feel this way? But now I just know it's part of normal human existence, and I get to decide what I do with them. I get to decide if I'm going to feed those feelings and encourage them to stay, or if I'm going to override the desire to feed them and therefore give myself a chance to get on the other side of that bad feeling. The other morning, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, meaning I was a little grumpy, but I had an appointment at the gym, okay? And I did not want to go. So when I woke up, I just felt grumpy, and my primitive brain does what it will always do, and it just kept giving me reasons of why it's better that we just stayed home, we don't go work out. It was giving me thoughts like, you don't have to go this morning. You never miss. Go ahead and cancel this one time. You're not going to get a good workout anyway, feeling the way you feel. These are the thoughts that my primitive brain was giving me. But I've talked about this in previous episode. I know that part of my brain, I know how it works, and I know better than to give in, because when I make decisions from my primitive brain, they are not usually the ones that are good for me long term. So I took control and I made myself go to the gym anyway. All right, so I'm driving and I'm still not feeling it. I'm walking into the gym. I'm still not feeling it. I'm literally fighting my primitive brain the whole way. But then you know what happened? 15 minutes into my workout, I literally felt like a new person. 15 minutes. Had I fed my grumpiness by giving in and staying home, That grumpiness may have hung around all day, just like Fred, the cat. Our emotions are run by our primitive brain, and if we're living on autopilot, a lot of our decisions are made from our primitive brain as well. You'll know how often you hang out there by the habits in your life. So do you skip the gym just because you don't feel like going? Do you reach for comfort food when you're sad? Do you hide in your house when you're feeling anxious or down? And it's okay if you notice that you're doing some of these things. In fact, it's great that you're aware of it. But here's the thing. That mood wants to be fed. And the more you feed it, the hungrier it gets. So my feeling that day, that morning, was grumpiness. And if I'd fed it what it wanted, which was to stay home and feel sorry for myself, well, I may have been grumpy all day. Because what you feed is probably going to hang around. I know because I've done it. I bet you have too. That's why it's really important that we're in touch with how we feel, because how we feel drives all of our actions. And that's great when we feel fantastic. But when we aren't feeling so great, we have to get out of our heads, so to speak. We can't just leave it to our primitive brain. When we make decisions from our primitive brain, they don't serve us most of the time. I mean, my primitive brain wanted me to stay home and get back in bed. How would that have served me? When I overrode that feeling and I made the decision to go to the gym anyway, my mood shifted within about 15 minutes. And that feeling of grumpiness, it never returned because I hadn't fed it. Maybe you have made plans with friends and the time comes to go and you're not feeling it. You're like, I wish I hadn't made those plans. Maybe you're feeling insecure or even a little bit depressed. Maybe you decide to cancel, stay in your pajamas, eat ice cream and watch Netflix. But what does that do? It kind of leads you to feeling more insecure and maybe even more depressed. But what if you took that feeling of being down and said, you know what? I'm not giving that feeling what it wants. I'm going to go out anyway. So you get dressed. You look beautiful. You meet your friends. You have an awesome time. And then you come home feeling so glad you went. It does not take a brain surgeon to know which one of those scenarios serves you long term and which one doesn't. And remember, the good effects of overriding your primitive brain, they don't stop at that one workout or that one night out having a great times with friends. That workout may have made you feel so much better that you ate healthy for lunch and dinner, which encouraged you to keep that trend going. And now you're creating habits that benefit your life. Same thing for going out and having a good time with your friends. Keeping yourself isolated because you feel down only exasperates the feeling of sadness or loneliness. Whereas making yourself get dressed up, that automatically encourages a better feeling for me at least. And then surrounding yourself with people that you enjoy, it encourages it even more. So maybe you make more plans to be social, which studies have shown add to your overall happiness quite a bit. The happiest people are the ones that surround themselves with other people, other happy people. Not that everybody's always happy, but being social is actually very beneficial to you. So when you find yourself having thoughts of, well, I'm just not feeling it today. I'm anxious, or I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I feel irritated or sad or grumpy. Start to notice what those feelings want from you. They want to be fed so they stay around. So maybe if you're grumpy, you pick a fight with your husband, which simply encourages more grumpiness, right? It's not helping anything. There's so many ways our primitive brain will get creative to encourage bad behavior for all of us. Start to notice what that looks like for you and realize you're in control here. I like to think of my primitive brain like a 3-year-old. You don't let a 3-year-old make decisions for you. You'd be eating candy off the ground and running around naked in public. 3-year-olds need guidance. Of course they do. And so does our primitive brain. I mean, we love that part of our brain because that's where our emotions are created, but we need to leave the main decisions up to the intelligent brain, and we have to do that consciously. The first step to doing that is being aware of your feelings and recognizing you get to decide if the actions you take are going to perpetuate those feelings or if they're going to turn them around. My challenge to you this week is to at least one time override that negative feeling and make a decision from your intelligent brain. Go to the gym even though you don't feel like it. Decide that even though you're grumpy, you're going to shake it off and not spread that grumpiness around. Get dressed up and meet your friends even though you're not in the mood. Just because you have a negative thought, which leads to you feeling bad, it doesn't mean you have to live there. We all have a range of emotions, every single one of us. You get to choose the actions you take, which could either keep you swimming in that emotion or get you on the other side of it. It depends on how you feed it. Share this with 3 of your favorite people today. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.